Welcome back to Tang Time, where I teach you how to lower your score without having to work on your golf swing. On today's agenda, we're going to be talking about the golf swing. Why do you think I don't like to talk about the golf swing? Because there are already so many YouTube channels talking about the golf swing. Wrong! I don't like to talk about the golf swing because I don't think there's a blanket fix to every problem. I think that individuals move differently. We put our bodies into different positions differently. I think if you have an issue, you need a personal way to fix that issue. For example, I could have two different people that take the club in on the inside on their takeaway, and I want them to take the club on the outside. Person A could be starting their backswing with their right hand and pulling it on the inside. Person B could be using their left shoulder and rolling it in to get their club head on the inside. Both people are getting their club head on the inside, but they're doing it differently. If I just told both of them, keep the club head on the outside of your hands, they might not necessarily understand how to do that. In order to have person A and person B both understand how to get the golf club on the outside of the hands, I have to tailor the lesson to each of them. And that's why when I do swing lessons, it needs to be personal, it needs to be individual, and how I change their swing is going to depend on how they understand the information. So today, we're going to be talking about the concept of the golf swing. That is going to be the same across the board. We all have the same goal to a perfect golf swing, but we're all going to take our own individual steps and paths to get there. So a great way to visualize the concept of the golf swing is with this stick. I have attached a piece of rope and a weight at the bottom. So the stick represents your body. The string are your arms connected to the club, and the weight is the club head. When you move your body, it generates the speed and power to move that club head. So when beginners have watched golf on TV and they go to swing a club for the first time, they use only their arms. They pick up the club and try to throw the club back at the ball. They don't realize that the body is actually generating all the torque and speed and power to then hit the golf ball. So a beginner is really going to have their feet locked into the ground and their arms moving like this. Because visually, the golf swing looks like you're using your arms to move the club head, when in reality, we're using our body to generate a turn and a torque to create the speed and spring-loaded motion of swinging the golf club. When you're playing baseball, you wind up your hips and you snap that bat. We have a follow-through in baseball. When you're boxing, you use your hips, generate that power to hit through and use all of your strength. You also follow through with the leg. The same thing is true in golf. When you take that swing and you power through it, we're using all of our body to get the golf club through the ball. And that's why we finish with our foot up. If you're just starting your journey into learning about golf, a great way to understand if you're using your legs at all is if you're able to pick your toe up after your follow through. You've transferred all of your weight and energy into that lead foot, and now you can lift up your trail foot. Some people will look at the golf swing and think they need to transfer their weight to the right side to then transfer their weight to the left side to create a bigger, more powerful swing. But let's look at that when we swing this stick. If I swing this stick like this, is the club head moving faster than if I moved like this? This way versus this way. Here's a nice little physics lesson for you. Just because the stick is moving bigger does not mean that the club head is moving faster. I can move the stick in a really small motion and create a lot of force to get that club head moving very fast. Same thing in the golf swing. So if we're a little bit more advanced, you've already been playing golf for a few years, but you're trying to increase your speed and power, you're not going to get it by swinging faster. We need to generate more power from the ground into the golf club. And how do we do that? We're going to load the legs, load the hips. If you're standing straight up, you lost power. If you're jumping like this, you've lost power. You're not efficiently grounding yourself and getting that power from the ground into your hands. When we take a backswing, we want to create a big turn. Shoulders are turned, hips are turned. We're not drifting. We're creating a big turn. But you can't just unwind the turn to hit the ball firmer. That smash factor isn't going to be there. We need the torque and the spring loading to be able to hit the ball harder. After you make a big rotation, we have to now create the torque. Creating the torque means we're going to be separating our hips from our arms. We want a slingshot effect. We want a rubber band effect. We want that snap from our hips coming down and snapping that club through the ball. So when you get to the top of your swing, we want to get your hips back to square, not shifting this way and not spinning out this way. If you just spin out, you're gonna waste that torque. You're wasting that energy. So we make our full turn to the top, and we now imagine being back into a squatting motion. Imagine your hips are back to square. Your belt buckle and your belt loops are back to square. From the top, your hips are gonna come back to square, and then you're gonna drive through your leg, and push through the ground. If you watch the long drive guys do a practice session on the driving range, they are ripping up the ground. It's really impressive. There's gonna be two huge footprints. The grass is gonna be chewed up because they are using as much leg power and generating as much force from the ground as possible. That is the concept of the golf swing. Big turn, square hips, and drive through the golf ball. That's how you swing it faster and hit the ball further. Like this video if it helped you understand the golf swing just a little bit more. There's so many subtleties as to how we move. Someone might start their swing by turning their shoulder over. Someone might start their swing by squeezing their right hand and lifting it up. Someone might start their swing by hitching their hip over. There are so many idiosyncrasies to everyone's movement. You can't just say, take the backswing like this. Everyone has a different way to get there, which is why I've devoted my channel into teaching you how to lower your score without having to work on the golf swing. So please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for my next episode.